Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now, this is officially the second video of my channel, but it would ideally be the first because the first video was like a college decisions reactions video, and so I did not have my personal input to it. It was just merely clips put together and posted. So I always wanted my first video to be about, after college decisions reactions, I wanted it to be about IB, which has been, pretty much like everything in what my life has been about for the past 2 years. And so in this video, as you must have already guessed from the thumbnail and the title, I am going to talk about how to go about IB. And before I start today's video, I want to give you all a disclaimer about two things. Firstly, I'm not a professional, I'm not a tutor, I'm not an educator. So please do not take my review or my words as course of action for your own application. Please do not do that. This is just my personal documentation, my personal take on how the past 2 years went while doing the IBDP. And the second thing is that this video is not entirely entitled or targeted towards people who are willing to do IB, are doing IB, or did IB, but it is in general for everyone who encounters the learning process in their daily lives. I think because the things that I'm going to talk about in IB, I think everyone has gone through them at some point in their life. So please feel free to watch and yeah, enjoy. Alright, so now we will talk a little about what the IB diploma program was, right? So the IB diploma program, if I talk about it like just as a whole, the IB diploma program has three elements to its core that we're supposed to do alongside the 6 individual subjects, right? Okay, so if I check about assessment and exams, right? So that's what, it'll give you an idea of how we're assessed. So there is an external assessment, which is essays and that's the basically all the written examinations, and then there's the internal assessment that's for the 6 individual subjects. And then so we want to go to we want to go to what is the DP, I guess, or curriculum maybe. Okay, let's go to the curriculum for now. Okay, so the curriculum, yeah. Now see, there are the 3 core elements. Okay, so there's theory of knowledge, which stands for TOK. There's the extended essay, and there's CAS, which is creativity, activity, and service. So my subjects from the 6 subject groups were from studies in language and literature. We had language A, language and literature, this one right here. Then we had language acquisition. So from that group, I had language B in French. And then individuals and societies, I had 2 subjects. So I had business management and economics at the high level. Okay, and by the way, French B and English A were both on the standard level. And sciences, I had computer science, which was on the standard level again. And finally, from mathematics, I had mathematics analysis and approaches HL. All right, yeah, so that's that. Now, so that was my subjects, and now I'm going to show you my results. So there we go. This is the diploma program. This is basically the portal where we check our results. So you can see that for this, this is my grade distribution right here. So that's basically you get a maximum of 7 points. So that totals up to 42 points from 6 subjects. And then the 3 core elements that I earlier talked about, that sum up to a total of 3 points. So that's how your total IB score, sums up to a 45 point total, right? And so I got 41 points out of 45, and that's that. And then here I would also like to show you my coursework. So this is basically all my extended essay, all my IAs, basically every single assignment that I have done internally, which is internally assessed, and that is uploaded on the portal as well. So that's about so basically that's an overview of what the IBDP was. So that's all the work that I have done so far. That's what the results I've obtained. So now I'm going to get into how I got those results. Could I have done better on my examinations, and what is the key feature and what is the key element rather that got me to where I am. Okay, so 41 points for me, for a person like me who's an average academic student, is a big deal, right? I could have done better, I know that by now, but so I'm going to talk about how I got to 41 points. Okay, so now we're going to talk about resourcefulness. Now I cannot emphasize enough of the importance of resources when it comes to IB diploma program. Because the diploma program, okay, now let me, compare it to IGCSE, which was what I did for my grade 9 and 10, which is, a part of the Cambridge board, right? Now, IGCSE was so content intensive. I had to be like, carrying a lot of textbooks, a lot of printed notes, a lot of handwritten notes for practice before the examinations, and it was very content intensive. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? It's not that in IB you have like a less amount, you have less books to carry, you have less notes to carry, but I would just, differentiate between IB and IGCSE by saying that IGCSE is more of hard work and IB is more of smart work. So, I mean, technically now it's just that, in IGCSE I had more of printed resources, but yeah, IB I have like thrice as many resources as I do for IGCSE. So we're gonna go through my OneDrive over here. So basically on my cloud storage, I have a folder entirely for IB, and I have segregated everything that I have ever done throughout my period of completing the coursework for IB, right? Okay, so we will start with like business management HL. Now you can see that I have everything possible. So for example, I had guides, right? So I had these many, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5 study guides for business management. So now they vary. Okay, so this one is like basically, this one was paper 1, basically a paper 1 breakdown of the case study, the pre-release case study that we had. It's available online. Then there was the formula booklet, which is provided by IB. Then there is the study guide of Oxford. Then I have a study and revision guide of Hodder. I have another study guide from this popular site called ib.academy. Yeah, so that's from there. So it's basically IB Academy, right? So that's about the guides. Then there's my IA. So for IA, I have like every single draft possible. Yeah, so I have like 2 drafts for now. I have all the resources. So I have basically all the edits as I can track. I have some notes also. Yeah, so these were my notes. These were basically like quite pointer notes that I had. And they were like for each topic, so they really helped me out. They were very like bulletin notes and very concise and crisp. And that's available. This is my case study and this is a sample IA. Now okay, so now we've hit the topic of samples. Oh my god, guys, please, samples and IB are like, I don't know what, okay, how do I say? Samples and IB are like pancakes and syrup. You need samples to do IB because see, that's where I talk about smart work, right? Some of your seniors, some of those who have already done IB, they have done their work. Now, I'm gonna ask, see, there's a difference between copying and referring, right? I referred to samples. I did not copy them, and you can't copy them because you'll be, caught for plagiarism. Everything is checked for plagiarism, right? Before it's submitted to the IB, you anyways can't copy. And there's another thing that, when you take someone's work which is like too old, then there's obviously a syllabus change. So that work becomes irrelevant. Nevertheless, samples just give you that skeleton. Whenever you write something like an internal assessment, they give you that skeleton which is crucial for you to start. Because for anything in the whole wide world, whatever you do, whether it be academic or anything, it's just that starting pressure that is so intense, which makes it so difficult to do anything, right? Okay, so I'm sorry this video is taking longer than expected to post because you can see that I could not record everything in one day. I have a change of clothes. It's basically Diwali season. It's a festive season. It's a really important festival for a lot of us. And I think I was just busy with all these preparations that have been going around the house and everything else. All right, so I'll get straight to the point. I want to talk about how I got up to 41 points in my IB. And so let me start by saying that I emphasized a lot on my resources and my samples and everything else. So I think for me the key takeaway or that thing that helped me most to clear my IB, to get a distinction, to get 41 points, was basically how I organized my journey through IB. How I always try to grasp as any resources as possible, get my hands on everything I could. I mean, I basically, had, like, if I could say, I had basically like 6 textbooks for economics. I had like 8 textbooks for mathematics. I'm not saying that I read through them all. I solved. It's basically about having everything available to your discretion, having everything available, at the reach of a hand, maybe at the reach of a hand's length, So it's about that. I think it was, in the end, it was all just practice. It was all basically peer studying. I mean, I did a lot of peer studying, so I would go to my friend's house at night and we would solve papers together. It was constructive competition. It was healthy competition. It was always, constructive criticism between all of us. And it was basically, looking at each other and motivating each other. So that's about clearing IB. Now, if I talk about regrets that I had, after I got my score, so I would say that I was disappointed with my math HL score. I got a 5. I was expecting a 6. I mean, not a 7, obviously it was difficult, but not a 5 either. And I think that, if I got a 5, then, it was supposed to be, maybe, that was my fate. But I wouldn't blame fate like a jackass. I would maybe, I would rather say that it was what I had basically written on the paper. Because a lot of people, a lot of my friends got 7s in math HL. So I wouldn't say that, okay, it's impossible to get a 7. No, it is possible. It's just maybe that I should have been better prepared for math HL. I should have been sincere, because I think when it comes to math specifically, I can't lag around when I'm solving, right? I can't be lazy. Like when a teacher gives us an entire exercise to do, I can't just, skip questions in between because I'm getting lazy. No, I have to do all of them. I have to be persistent. I have to, have that commitment in me. And so I think that's really important. Apart from that, if I would, want to give you a post IB review sort of thing, I would say that IB is just the best. I mean, for me personally, I am grateful because IB actually cut down on a lot of things, on a lot of syllabus, on a lot of exams that we were supposed to give ideally, but we did not, because we were unfortunate with the circumstances that we had of learning because of the coronavirus. And so I think I was lucky to get 41 because there was no paper 2 in English, there was no QGIS, so basically there was an entire section skipped out of business management. There was a new syllabus for economics, which was much simpler, and I guess CS, computer science, there was no paper 2. What else? I guess that's it. Yeah. So it was quite easy going. I mean, IB made it easy for us. Okay, it's not that it was unfair. No, not at all. It was never unfair. It was fairer than usual. And I would also say that IB has prepared me for the best. I think I am very much more open. I am more exposed to how I'm gonna deal with stuff at university. Like especially when it comes to writing long assignments, writing professional assignments, doing professional stuff, like, because I've done a lot of IAs, I've done extended essays, and the best part is that I did everything on my own. I did not use any outsourced help. I did write my extended essay like 6 times over and over again because my supervisor never approved of it. And so I guess I think it did teach me a lot. All right, it did teach me a lot. I mean, it was fun. If there's one thing that I would ever do again in my life, would be IB all over again from the start, properly. Like, managing my time properly. It wouldn't be like doing CAS at the last minute. It wouldn't be like just doing whatever deadline comes up first. Not filling up my bucket full of assignments, then ranting about how procrastination has become such a addiction that I can't get out of, and things like that. I would manage my time better. I would follow the timeline that IB gives us, and the way it's supposed to be done, proportionately. And I guess it would be fun. I think anybody who's doing IB or who is going to do IB would agree with me. Wouldn't agree with me. I think you should try IB. You should look forward to it. And all those who have done IB, they would agree with me at some point. Moving on. let's now talk about procrastination. So I would call myself a master procrastinator, and it was not only during IB, like even after clearing IB, when I make that decision key, okay, from now on I will do this and I will be, so sorted and everything, it still doesn't happen. Like, in fact, I even procrastinated while making this YouTube video. So procrastination in IB, it hits you like, it's like basically, 20 missiles coming at you from all directions. So because you're in IB, you're in the 11th grade or the 12th grade, right? So it's not just studies and not just academics that you have to be concerned about. Pressure starts building up when things like college applications and, making the college decisions and things, and, there's always extracurriculars that you need to build for those applications. There's so much going around, and then there's always that, the redundant stuff like, family functions, giving time your personal life, basically that. So I procrastinated a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. So I will tell you how I got over it, right? So my economics teacher, she basically said this thing. She had this thing. She used to call procrastination, she used to call assignments like a bucket, right? She used to tell us that if you let your bucket, if you let it, keep getting filled of assignments, you will never be able to empty it. And that's what happened, right? When you start procrastinating, you keep thinking that, okay, there's this to do, I have an IA to do, I have an external assessment to do, I have the essay to do, exhibition to do, I have this college's essay, this deadline, and I have to go to this function, I have to maybe write this speech for that club, I have to go to this meeting. Now what happens is you get confused, honestly, okay? So I'll explain how I work through it. So you get confused. The first step is you start getting confused. Your world starts falling apart because you don't understand where to start from, okay? So you don't understand that now that you have this big pile of assignments, you have a bucket full of assignments, how do you empty it out, right? Now, typically, imagine that you genuinely have a bucket and it is full of water. Would you think while you empty it out, say you have a mug, you're emptying that bucket out using that mug or any other vessel, would you think that how do I empty out this water? No, right? You would just fill up your vessel, throw out the water, fill up your vessel, throw out the water, and keep repeating. That's the same with, procrastination also. Your bucket is full of assignments. Don't think where to start. Just start, all right? Start with one. What I would do is, for example, I'm writing my economics IA, right? I would just start. Sometimes I would do it for 20 minutes. I would get bored of it because I would come to a point where I can't think of any fresh ideas. And so what I would do is I would immediately begin my business management IA, or I would work on my college applications, or I would work on my speech, or I would go attend a meeting. I would come back to it. So what is happening is ultimately that bucket is getting emptied out one way or another, right? Because you did 20 minutes, you worked 20 minutes on your economics IA, you did attend a meeting, you worked on some other IA, for example, or maybe you made notes for a while, or you did something, but you did something, right? You did empty out that water. So that's how it basically begins. And once you get in that zone, nobody can take you out of that, trust me. Like, nobody. Because I'm telling you, like, sometimes I would do those assignments for like maybe 20 minutes, I would be stuck on one thing, or I would even, continuously do something for 2 hours. All right? So that's procrastination. It's that simple. I mean, the only thing you need to learn about cracking it, don't think you've procrastinated. There's nothing wrong with procrastination, okay? Everybody procrastinates. You're not a loser if you're procrastinating. Trust me, it's a typical thing to, especially in IBDP. IBDP is so harsh. It's so intense. It drills you from within that, ultimately you start procrastinating because you get bored, right? You just get fed up. And so to get out of procrastination, just start from somewhere, and just don't think. All right, now let's talk about burnout. Burnout is a stage which is very common in any student's life. It is so my definition of burnout is when you get so tired and bored of doing a task which is repetitive in nature that you get fed up, and even after trying different tactics and trying to motivate yourself from all possible directions, you still don't find a way to recharge yourself enough to sit and get into that work zone again. Now, burnout, there's no direct remedy or solution to burnout, but I coped up with burnout by basically trying to keep myself occupied basically at all times. Now, when I say occupied, I basically mean that have a routine, okay? Have a planned and segregated, well maintained and well balanced schedule, like a routine that you can follow. So I would basically come home from school, and then I would, now if I come home from school and I immediately sit down to write some notes or solve some papers, I will not be able to do them, because I know my mind is not going to be as efficient as it should be. Hence, what I do is, as soon as I come home from school, I take a break to have a snack, and then after that snack, it acts like a pre-workout meal. So I go for my workout. I work out for about an hour and a half, and then I come back. That workout is basically the stress buster. Now, for each of you, use these things which are so normal to be a part of our routine as stress busters. Like, I'm a musician too, so sometimes I play the drums. I practice my rudiments on my practice pad, and that helps too. Like, do it for 10 minutes, do it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, how much ever long you want to do that. Listen to music or take a walk, or like just do something that keeps you occupied one way or the other, and ultimately you are being productive. So what I would do is, I would either write my newsletter sometimes, or I would also work on some course that I'm working on, or some extracurricular. Maybe like when it was time for my project Kagas, a part of my social my environmental club initiative. So during that, what I would do is, to bust my stress, I would basically just start folding those paper bags, okay, segregating them, maybe counting them, doing something logistic. So that, because when you do logistical work, it does not involve your brain. It gives you a chance to relax, and hence it is basically recharging your brain so that it can work efficiently again. So just if you keep yourself occupied throughout the day, you won't fall back into that laze zone. Because if you come home from school, you're tired, you've been exhausted throughout the day, you've been like, your life has been sucked out of you the entire day. So if you give yourself a chance to like relax, once you hit the bed, you won't be able to get up for a bit. Even if you do, it won't be that efficient, right? So that brings me up to my point, that stay occupied throughout the day, so that some way or the other your body is still working. Because trust me when I say this, if you wake up early in the morning, like, experiment, just try and experiment this. I have, and I know the effect. Like, if you go for a workout in the morning, early in the morning, you will be charged throughout your day, right? So that, now some people can, there's always this argument that you should sleep your 8 hours or something like that, and that makes you feel that, okay, if you have slept a good sleep, you'll be energized. But for me, it does not work that way. Even if I have slept like for 6 hours and not 8 hours, but I have a workout in the morning before anything, like before I go to my internship or before I go to school or whatever, I will be charged enough. I will be like active. I will be proactive when I answer questions in the class. I'll be listening, and I'll be basically I'll be at my most efficient point. So that's about burnout. On a final note, I just want to put it out there that the reason I'm posting this video is actually primarily so that I can document, and I can put it out there that how IB was for me. It was always an adventure primarily, and second, it's actually to help anybody out there who is basically scared, or who hasn't got their things sorted, who thinks that who is just basically in confusion. You have anxiety building up that, okay, how am I going to get through this? Even if your board is like tomorrow, even if anything is basically, it's never too late, okay? It's never too late. And the amount of resources I have, I think I can surely help any of you out. So please feel free to email me. I'll put my email right here. And I think, if you just email me, you write whatever, anything you need any help, you want me to, basically read through your IA or anything, and, maybe give you some comments. or you need any resources, I will show you, I'll give you a glimpse of how my resources look. Basically, the vast variety, and so basically the spectrum, the huge spectrum of resources that I have. When I say resources, it's not simply past paper or some review worksheets or nothing like that. It's actually, I have a huge variety of resources, right? And I did struggle a lot to get, like to acquire them. So, I mean, I feel free to email me and, ask for any help. And I'm sure that, I will be able to help you all. Thank you. Cheers.